We are going to go through all of the headlines right now for opening up the phone lines and getting to our video clips. President Trump, another round of golf today. He just cut the ribbon for the grand opening of Trump International Aberdeen. He already thinks his golf course in Scotland, Turnberry, is the nicest course in the world, but perhaps now that Aberdeen is open, he might have a second opinion on that. So that's what President Trump is up to today, another round of golf. I say good for him. He's, of course, golfing with European leaders and diplomats, negotiating trade and other such things, and having some fun with the media out there, watching his golf game. So I think this is something that's good for President Trump. It's good for men to get out and play golf. It's kind of our spa, if you will. It's therapeutic. It's where we go to relax, get away from the hustle bustle. Sometimes we take it out on the course with us. But Trump cutting the ribbon this morning, having a round of golf, negotiating trade successfully. And so that's where the president is at today. I wonder, when will we get an update on the scorecard? What was the inaugural round for President Trump at Aberdeen? Do you think he was under par today for a first time on the course? I think we'd know it if he was. If we get any updates on the golf score, certainly we will let you know. Speaking of the score, Jerome Powell under siege as Fed plans to stand pat on rate cuts. Now, this is going to anger the president. He's really trying to help the U.S. citizen dealing with high interest rates right now, specifically where it's the most painful in the housing market. Now, of course, he's been going back and forth with Powell on this for months. Powell only has months left before he's going to be relieved of his duty. And, of course, it was just last week where President Trump was touring the federal building, which has now got a bill up to $3 billion in renovations. And so there was some thought that Trump would try to leverage a little legal heat on Powell, saying, maybe we need to investigate how this price got so high. Maybe you need to be investigated for how this price got so high. But, of course, perhaps we could leave that investigation alone if you could just cut interest rates. But as of today, it looks like Powell still uninterested. And, of course, the reason being is all of the debt and defaulting that's happening right now. Credit cards, car loans see defaults from high earners in hit to economy. The numbers are so large with this stuff, it's hard to really get a grasp on it. But I think when you look at it just from a general perspective, you're probably looking at a time period where credit card debt is the highest it's ever been. People defaulting on car payments or mortgages is the highest it's ever been. And you can probably start tracking this back to the COVID era, but it still remains to this day. So Powell looks at that and says, this is why we can't cut interest rates. This debt bubble is so big. And if we don't have these high interest rates, we could have a problem. And yet the American people that are just trying to get by, living paycheck to paycheck, are looking for a little break. And it would be nice to have such a break, say, on the interest rates for your mortgage payments or other such things. So that's the back and forth. But yes, they're saying even high earners now, delinquencies on such debts from those making at least $150,000 a year have jumped almost 20% in the last 2 years. And it was even a couple of years ago, they talked about numbers for the first time ever, people earning over $100,000 a year, basically living in debt and working paycheck to paycheck. There used to be a time in the American economy, if you made $100,000 a year or more, you were probably not dealing with such things, but now that is very commonplace. So Trump looking to help the American taxpayer, consumer with a little break on interest rates, but Powell, at this point, it appears, will not budge. Now, recall that President Trump has just sued Rupert Murdoch of the Wall Street Journal over the report from last week with supposedly a letter and an illustration from Trump to Epstein. Now, there have been other such things that have hit the press since then, but for whatever reason, this is the one that Trump is deciding to target the Wall Street Journal on. Trump demands expedited deposition of Rupert Murdoch. He wants it to happen fast. Donald Trump's Florida lawyer yesterday filed a motion demanding that billionaire Rupert Murdoch be forced to sit for deposition within 15 days as the president sues the Wall Street Journal over a report claiming that Trump composed a bawdy 50th birthday card to sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Trump's motion notes that because Murdoch is 94 years old and has experienced multiple health issues and scares in the last 5 years, an expedited deposition under oath would be appropriate course of action. That's a bit morbid, don't you think? Now, you have to wonder, Murdoch, who is 94, how much involvement does he have in these things? Better yet, why is the Rupert Murdoch-owned Wall Street Journal doing hit pieces on Trump over Epstein while the New York Post is doing cover pieces over Epstein? Maybe this is a question that he would be asked in deposition. So Trump's legal team trying to make that happen as soon as possible. Meanwhile, they're still dealing with these courts. Judge indefinitely blocks withholding of Medicaid funds to Planned Parenthood. So this was part of the Trump agenda. Instead of just outright defunding Planned Parenthood, they used these other ways of cutting funds where Planned Parenthood was getting money from, like Medicaid. But the judges are stepping in and saying, no, you can't do that. And really, at this point, I think you need an investigation into this whole operation, because it's pretty well known the large amounts of funds that Planned Parenthood gets from the U.S. government. And, of course, we know one of the number one, if not the number one, issue of business that Planned Parenthood engages in, well, it's abortion. And obviously, a lot of Americans have a problem with that. And it's illegal in many states as well. But they love their abortion on the left, and apparently these judges do too. So they're doing everything they can to claw as much money from the federal government as possible, and using these judges that are acting as activists now. We continue to see that. Judges acting as activists, stepping in, blocking Trump's agenda. The latest, keeping your tax dollars flowing to Planned Parenthood. But this isn't the first time Trump has had to deal with these judges. Memo reveals D.C. judges are predisposed against Trump administration. Well, we're learning more about this, but Margot Cleveland had the story. Basically, these judges are meeting as if it's some sort of a constitutional convention and a constitutional crisis. And these judges are meeting and determining that they're going to start acting as activists. They're going to start acting as elected officials, executives, and they're going to do everything they can to block Trump's agenda in the court. That's the constitutional crisis, not Donald Trump and his agenda, which you may or may not have problems with. The constitutional crisis is a group of activist judges, a group of Democrat, leftist, liberal, progressive judges that are deciding to act like elected officials and executives, blocking the president's agenda, which we voted for. Now, the left apparently thinks they have a new hero emerging to do such a job, and that hero is Jasmine Crockett, with a little puff piece in The Atlantic, a Democrat for the Trump era. And so now all the big mouthpieces for the Democrat Party that promote their propaganda are all sharing this, and they're just in awe of how great Jasmine Crockett is. Well, I will say, she does seem to be rising the ranks. I don't think she's very formidable for anybody, and I think she's going to be dealing with a tough race against Sheldon Daniels in the midterms. So, could that end the momentum of Jasmine Crockett, or do the Democrats really want to get behind this woman and see her come of age? And who knows, maybe even put her on a presidential ticket? No. Well, other people are murmuring that the Democrats are considering AOC, but I'm not sure the Democrat Party is ready to go that far. I think they kind of look at the likes of an AOC or a Jasmine Crockett and they think, well, we like their big mouths, but hard to control. Hard to control. They can go rogue at any moment. And the Democrats, they don't really like that. That's why they never let Bernie Sanders get in. But Cortez Crockett? Could we see the day? Ha! Do you think dance videos will be part of the campaign? I'd say that's a sure bet. So I guess that's the future of the Democrat Party. How does that make you feel? But hey, Republicans are going to do as much to shoot themselves in the foot to actually give people like that a chance to win, which is pretty pathetic. But that's where it's at. Douglas Mackey, announces civil lawsuit against his tormentors, and he's retained a legal bulldog who knows where the bodies are buried. So, this is the individual they tried to put in jail. He ended up winning his long, hard-fought legal case and will avoid the jail time for a meme, for sharing a meme that was offensive to Hillary Clinton. Oh, poor Hillary. So they wanted to bury him and put him in jail, but he won that suit. So now he's going after the people that politically persecuted him. I say Godspeed, Douglas Mackey, and may many others follow. We talked about the issue in New York City. There was also an issue that got the nation's attention in Cincinnati over the weekend where there was a massive bar fight, street fight, however you want to call it, looked very racially charged, and that's how it was kind of consumed and processed by the country. Well, now we find out that earlier, 2 months ago, in fact, white cops claim women and minorities get better jobs than them, according to a lawsuit. This was filed against the Cincinnati chief of police there that you saw in the press conferences. Apparently, she has been discriminating against white cops, and only, quote unquote, women and minorities are getting promotions and raises in Cincinnati. Well, maybe that's why nobody showed up when that street fight, bar fight got completely out of control. Looks like we got issues there. Looks like you got issues in Cincinnati, and they may or may not start and stop with the female lead there. She didn't really seem all that with it during those press conferences. That one seemed pretty clear that, she seems a little above her pay grade here. Unlike Police Commissioner Tisch in New York City, who really seems to have her wits about her. She really seems to handle the press well. Not so much the case with Cincinnati. The boom in AI is stretching the largest U.S. power grid to capacity this summer. It's time to start building. It's time to go nuclear. And we really need to do something about this energy issue, because to develop all these data processing centers and these AI centers that Trump is hoping to get done here, they're going to have to actually probably have their own nuclear energy facilities just to power them. So this is going to become a big story. Who's going to fill that void? What we're going to do to reach the needs that we're going to have energy-wise is going to be interesting to find out. But I think it's got to be nuclear. And then hopefully we can build so much energy and have so much energy coming in that even these AI data processing centers will have leftover energy that they can then send to the power grid, as has been the case in the past with other such situations, like with Google processing centers. So that would be nice and maybe bring down energy costs, which Trump did address yesterday when talking about windmills. Windmills are a net negative. Windmills are a net negative. Think about that. And Trump stated it. He said, why would you reach for an energy source that costs you money? Energy should be making money. Energy should be one of the top money makers in the economy. But windmills have a net negative. We'll have more from Trump on that coming up. Now, of course, they're saying that searing heat is threatening power grids. and the health of American citizens because it's never been hot before. Don't you know? Never had heat. Not one time. First time we've ever had heat. Power grids can't handle it, folks. They don't know what to do. Of course, that's what they're saying. But maybe that has something to do with this enhanced need to power the AI that is now being built. But no, they're going to blame it on heat, say it's climate change, even though every prediction they've made about man-made climate change has been false. So, in fact, there's going to be some investigations into this. It's going to be starting in Florida. Attorney General James Utmeyer launches investigation into climate cartel for potential consumer protection and antitrust violations, investigating environmental groups for alleged antitrust violations. This is going to be an interesting one to follow because we know what they've done, but can you pin it on them legally? Can you prove that they've consciously done this? In other words, were they true believers in their nonsense? Did they really believe in the man-made climate change myth? Did they really have a science down to prove that it was real and that things needed to be done? And we had to reshape the power grid and reshape the very way we think about consuming energy. Did they know it? And so they said, oh, we need to go green. We need to have windmills. We need to have solar farms. And now we've got all this government cash earmarked for solar companies, for windmill companies. And then lo and behold, it's their friends, it's their family, it's themselves that own the companies that get these contracts. Hey, we need more windmills. Just so happens I got a windmill company. How about that? Most are in China. Hey, we need more solar energy. We need green energy. We're killing the planet. And by the way, I got a friend over here that has a solar panel company. What do you think, huh? Big contract for him? Yeah. Sure, I got stocks in that company, and they're about to 10x when this contract is signed, but so what? It's all for the environment. That's what they said. All for the environment. So that should be an interesting investigation. I think it's pretty obvious what they've done, this giant man-made climate change myth and scam. But can you prove, in a legal case, can you prove that they knew exactly what they were doing? What was the name of that one solar company Obama gave a bunch of money to, and then it ended up just disappearing? Solyndra?
Solyndra.
Yeah, Solyndra. Is this another Solyndra situation? Hey, give that massive contract to my friend over here, my cousin over here, my aunt over here, my brother, my sister. We need it to save the environment. And then the windmills end up costing money. The solar panels are unreliable. But who cares? Because they made hundreds of millions of dollars. So let's see if the Attorney General of Florida can get to the bottom of that. Another scam that's finally being investigated. And actually, this is another indictment of Pam Bondi as the Attorney General, by the way. Arizona State Senator Mark Fincham and whistleblower Sean Taylor uncover evidence of Act Blue real estate fraud and money laundering scheme in the billions. The motherlode of all financial crimes. This has been sitting on Pam Bondi's desk. Do you remember this? When all of the ICE protests started getting violent, the investigation into Act Blue, specifically the organizers and the funders, to get down to the bottom of who was causing this left-wing terrorism against ICE agents and other law officers. This is on Pam Bondi's desk. This was sitting on Pam Bondi's desk. She was supposed to be doing the investigation. Where is she? Nowhere to be found. And I love watching this. It seems like every day a new criminal referral is sent to Pam Bondi's desk. I can't even remember the latest. There was another one yesterday. But this was supposed to be done at the Department of Justice, and it wasn't. So now it's being done at the state level in Arizona. Excuse me. Yes, in Arizona. Now, in Florida, you may recall this story from a week ago. Florida man arrested for threatening to kill everyone on Epstein client list. Now, he was brought in and apparently is going to be charged and investigated with the FBI and the DOJ. But wait a second. Hold on. Apparently the Epstein list doesn't exist. Apparently the Epstein list is a hoax. So how can this man be charged? So what is happening with this case? Are we going to have to deliver the Epstein list so we can charge this guy? Are we going to know the names on the Epstein list just so they can charge this individual? Or was he playing 5D chess this entire time? How can you charge me for threatening to kill people on the Epstein list when there is no Epstein list? So either give me the names or drop the charges. Wonder how he'd feel about either one of those things. And only Trump can say it like this in clip 2.
I say to Europe, we will not allow a windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us. They're killing the beauty of our scenery, our valleys, our beautiful plains. And I'm not talking about airplanes. I'm talking about beautiful plains, beautiful areas in the United States. And you look up and you see windmills all over the place. It's a horrible thing. It's the most expensive form of energy. It's no good. They're made in China, almost all of them. When they start to rust and rot in 8 years, you can't really turn them off. You can't bury them. They won't let you bury the propellers, you know, the props, because there's a certain type of fiber that doesn't go well with the land. That's what they say. The environmentalists say you can't bury them because the fiber doesn't go well with the land. In other words, if you bury it, it will harm our soil. The whole thing is a con job. It's very expensive. And in all fairness, Germany tried it, and wind doesn't work. You need subsidy for wind, and energy should not need subsidy. With energy, you make money. You don't lose money. But more important than that is it ruins the landscape. It kills the birds. They're noisy. You know, you have a certain place in the Massachusetts area that over the last 20 years had 1 or 2 whales wash ashore, and over the last short period of time, they had 18, okay? Because it's driving them loco. It's driving them crazy. Now, windmills will not come. It's not going to happen in the United States. And it's very expensive. And I would love to see. I mean, today I'm playing the best course, I think, in the world, Turnberry. Even though I own it, it's probably the best course in the world, right? And I look over the horizon and I see 9 windmills, like right at the end of the 18th. I said, isn't that a shame? What a shame. You have the same thing all over Europe in particular. You have windmills all over the place. Some of the countries prohibit it, but people ought to know that these windmills are very destructive. They're environmentally unsound, just the exact opposite. Because the environmentalists, they're not really environmentalists. They're political hacks. These are people that they almost want to harm the country. But you look at these beautiful landscapes all over the world. Many countries have gotten smart. They will not allow it. They will not. It's the worst form of energy, the most expensive form of energy. But windmills should not be allowed.
All right. Now hear me out, President Trump. I have a solution to the windmill problem. And as far as you want to take this, I'll leave it up to you. You could keep it here in America dealing with our windmill problem. You could apply it to Europe, wherever you want. But I know how to destroy those windmills. All you have to do is tell Israel that Hamas is in the windmills. And they will be destroyed so fast, every single one of them blown to bits. Just saying. You want those windmills taken care of? If you want them to disappear? If you want them to never make a noise again? Just tell Israel Hamas is hiding in the windmills. They'll take care of the rest. All right, let's start taking some phone calls here on the InfoWars American Journal. And let's go to Brandon in Ohio. Brandon, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay, I have 2 quick points for you. First point, we all forgot about the Obama scandal with his birth certificate. We're literally on the White House website. Multiple people, including Candace Owens, did a report on it. It was totally doctored. It was subjected to layers and could be separated by any standard person. It was a very horrible job. My second point is, if a certain elected official that might be the president went to Israel in 2017 and changed religions, would he be qualified to become their president next? okay? And if he was to do that, who do you think he would have run his campaign?
Obviously, you're looking for Susie Wiles.
Yes.
So are you
created the monster.
insinuating that Trump will try to become the prime minister or president of Israel?
If it was a race to the top of the pyramid, that's the next highest point on the mountain.
I'd say the odds of that are pretty low. Do they have any golf courses in Israel that you know of? I don't know. I'm sure they do.
He would probably build one. He would just make one in the desert.
Maybe in the Gaza Strip?
Yeah, maybe. It's almost like, assure the assets now so you have them for later. It's like that AI video he put out of him being a super overlord with the gold. I'm a big super Trump supporter, but he's a scary man right now. I don't know what's going on.
You bring up the Obama birth certificate issue, which has been an issue for years. Trump used to talk about it. You mentioned, I guess it was kind of the most recent big development where people were able to separate it like layers that were put into a Photoshop, essentially. What do you want to be done about that?
I think that should be investigated, and it seems to be a second political person within their party, one being Kamala Harris, who had the same issues. Her whole entire history was doctored. Candace Owens and other major social media members went on and did specials on it, how they could not track who she was when they looked up into her history. Her entire self-autobiography was doctored. These people just are like actors, and they're just fictional characters that get funded through third-party people. And at some point, the American people have to wake up and say, are we going to be a part of a story, or are we going to live?
Well, okay, aside from Trump converting to Judaism, as you said, or the idea that he might become the president of Israel, I think if we look at President Trump to be the hero that we want, the revolutionary 2.0 that we need, he has to get his hands dirty with this stuff. And I think that maybe he's looking at the potential negative ramifications for the country and maybe considering backing off. Do you think that's what goes through Trump's head? I mean, we're talking about the deep state. We're talking about the Obama years. I think it goes back to 9/11. It could even go back to JFK. We were lied to about that. I mean, how do you drain this swamp that's been present for the better half of the last century?
The only thing that will secure the Trump legacy and secure him being anything of what he claims he is will be him to take people, at least 5 minimum, and run them through the judicial system so hard that it startles and shocks every single person in society. He has to take 5 minimum people of corruption, expose it to the highest end, and sink them like a battleship in the middle of the sea, and let everybody see that the American judicial system is beyond strong. It's just been silent and dormant.
Do you think this involves the clients of Jeffrey Epstein?
I think it involves every political figure that's from a foreign country and ours when we go there and visit, because a lot of these foreign countries have different standards, such as nude beaches and different things that they do that are immediately frowned upon in American culture. And I think they go there thinking that we're not going to hold them to that same standard when they come back home.
All right, Brandon. Interesting points. Thank you for the call. Let's go to Skylar in California. Skylar, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Owen. How are you doing?
Good.
I've talked to Alex and Chase and Harrison. I called in, and you're the only one that I haven't had the pleasure of talking to. So I just wanted to call in and talk about the shooter in New York. And also, I wanted to plug the methylene blue and the Shilajit. I'm on it right now. I trade stocks and was one of the investors in GameStop in 2020. So kind of like Ian Carroll. So I just wanted to thank you for it definitely helps me on the trade war. I mean, the cards, like he said, and he's beaten the whole game. And he's going to make this the second coming of the greatest economy, just like his first term.
Did you notice that on Friday, it looked like some people had the inside scoop? They got their auto stocks, they got their energy stocks, knowing this deal was going to be signed. Did you see that?
I did, and I was also a participant in it, and also Tesla with the AI chips and Samsung, because Tesla is also going to, through 2027, the reason Waymo and Teslas aren't fully automated everywhere is because they can't have Waymo like on freeways if a battery can go dead. By 2027, This is also why Kurt Elliott says there's a short squeeze on silver, which is true. This battery is going to allow your Tesla or the Waymo to charge in 5 minutes and go a minimum of 800 miles or even longer. Then everything will become fully automatic, like AI, automated, like AI.
So this is going to be, you said Tesla, you said Sam.